Hey guys, F1 2022 is finally here, and I want to kick off the year by taking a look at how to become a faster driver in F1 2022. And the first thing I'm going to look at is traction control. Traction control is without a doubt one of the hardest assists to turn off in F1 22. It dramatically affects how your car handles under acceleration, and it can be tricky to learn to drive without it. However, you'll have greater potential for faster lap times if you do learn to drive without traction control. But the big question you may ask is, are you faster without traction control enabled? And the simple answer to this is yes. When you aren't driving with traction control in F1 22, you have much greater control over how you apply the throttle on corner exit. You can utilise tyre slip to help rotate your car better, as well as modulate your traction and wheel spin manually. This will almost always be faster than driving with traction control enabled. Let's take a quick look at what traction control is and how it works. If you're not overly experienced or confident driving Formula 1 cars, then traction control can be a lifesaver. F1 cars have a lot of power, and when you accelerate out of a corner, the sheer amount of power can cause your rear wheels to spin under acceleration. This wheel spin will cause the rear of your car to become unstable and force you to release some of your throttle pressure. This can result in losing control of the car and spinning, or just being slower on corner exit. Traction control is designed to kick in just before any of this happens. It will detect the amount of potential wheel spin in your rear tyres, and when it thinks your rear tyres are about to start spinning, it'll automatically reduce the amount of power being sent to the wheels. This reduction of power prevents your wheels from spinning, allowing you to maintain control of your F1 car much easier. However, the reduction in power that traction control causes will slow your corner exit. Real-world F1 cars don't have traction control. Instead, the drivers have to manage the amount of wheel spin manually by modulating the amount of throttle they apply. So let's jump straight in and take a look at how to disable traction control and how to actually learn to drive without it. First thing is, head over into your assist menu in the main settings, scroll down to the traction control option and change it from full down to off. If you want to gradually ease yourself into learning to drive without traction control, you can set this to medium, which acts as a sort of middle ground. But I'd recommend turning it all the way off if you feel confident enough. The real key to driving without traction control is to learn how to manage your throttle input. Greater levels of throttle control will allow you to have a much easier time accelerating out of corners. Throttle control describes how you modulate your throttle as you apply it when you exit different corners in different scenarios. You can't simply apply 100% throttle when accelerating and expect the rear of your car to grip to the track. Too much throttle when accelerating, especially out of slow corners or in the rain, can cause the rear of your car to become unstable. When you accelerate from slow speeds and in low gears, your wheels are much more sensitive to the amount of power you're applying. If you apply too much throttle too early, your wheels can break traction and spin. Ideally, you should gradually apply the throttle when accelerating from low speeds. Gradually increase your input from 0% through to 100% throttle as you move up through the gears. Once you feel your car can handle the full amount of power available and you're pointing pretty much in a straight line, you can then apply 100% throttle pressure. As well as learning to gradually apply the throttle, you can also use a technique called short shifting. This is the process of upshifting earlier than you normally would. By upshifting before you reach the optimal RPM, you'll stop the full amount of power being sent to your rear wheels under acceleration. This in turn will reduce the risk of wheel spin. Short shifting from lower gears will increase the amount of throttle you can apply and how early you can apply it. While you won't be unleashing the full power of the engine, you can apply more throttle earlier. This can result in faster acceleration compared to more engine power and potential wheel spin. Use this technique when accelerating from very low speeds in low gears, such as second and third. This is also a really good technique to use in wet condition, where traction is really limited. You can also use your car setup to help make your car more drivable. And one of the best tools you have is your on-throttle differential. This is a setup option that can be changed both in the car setup screen and while driving using your MFD. The on-throttle diff will affect how much power is delivered to your rear wheels. The closer to 100 you set this, the more your rear wheels will spin at the same speed. The benefit of this style of setup is that it will get superior acceleration out of medium speed and faster speed corners. However, the downside of setting a high on-throttle diff setup is that by forcing your tyres to spin at closer speeds, you're increasing the chance of wheel spin. As you turn through and accelerate out of tighter, slower corners, your inside rear wheel will be travelling a shorter distance than your outside wheel. This requires your inside wheel to rotate slower than your outside wheel. If your on-throttle diff setup is forcing both wheels to turn at almost the exact same speed, the inside rear wheel will start to spin. This will break traction and cause your car to oversteer. You'll then have to compensate by lifting off the throttle to prevent a spin. By having a lower on-throttle diff setup, you're allowing the rear wheels to spin more independently of each other, and this reduces the risk of excess wheel spin. Lowering this setting will help you better manage wheel spin under acceleration, which is key to driving without traction control. I'd recommend experimenting with this setting throughout a practice session. Adjust it up and down to see how it affects the rear of your car under acceleration. If you are struggling with oversteer, reducing this setting closer to 50 will help. There are a few other setup options that you can change to help increase your car balance and to prevent too much oversteer on corner exit. These include adding additional rear wing aero, which can help improve rear downforce. However, this will in turn decrease your straight line speed. You can also adjust your suspension. By making your rear suspension softer or your front suspension stiffer will help manage wheel spin. This helps by keeping the rear wheels in contact with the track more often. You can also adjust your rear camber setup. Adjusting your rear camber to a more neutral setup will help more of your tyres be in contact with the track, which will increase your overall grip. But finally, you can look at your tyre pressures. Lowering your tyre pressures will also increase your tyre contact patch, which gives you more grip when you're accelerating. Hopefully these tips will help you manage your wheel spin when driving without traction control. But if you're still struggling, here are a few top tips. Remember, at slower speeds, you're much more likely to spin your wheels if you apply full throttle. So when you're driving slower, apply less throttle out of corners and gradually increase it. At higher speeds, you can apply full throttle much earlier. It is still possible to spin when accelerating in 4th and 5th gear, especially if your tyres are worn or driving in wet conditions. Remember that if you apply throttle while applying steering input and turning through a corner, you're more likely to break traction than you would if you're travelling in a straight line. So gradually apply the throttle if you're still turning. And try to only apply full throttle when you're travelling in a dead straight line, unless you're going around a really fast corner. Let me know how you get on with these tips in the comments below. I always try to keep active in the comments, so feel free to ask me any questions and I'll try to respond. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more tip videos for F122, let me know in the comments below, drop this video a like and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be releasing a ton of F122 videos, including setup videos and how-to guides. So hitting that subscribe button and the alert bell is the best way to stay up to date. But for now guys, I'll see you on track.